within here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered today because we needed to update you regarding the process for registering SIM cards. As you know, this process began last year, almost 18 months today. What we know at this point in time is that about 45% of those who are supposed to have cards registered, they've registered, which means that there's still outstanding 55%. 2 days ago, we had a chance of visiting some centers around town. We visited Telecom and then MTC. We saw that the queues are getting longer. People are heeding the message because we have through Crane, we have communicated that by the 31st of December, that's the cutoff when the process for registration will conclude. Thereafter, there will be 3-month suspension for those whose cards have not been registered. The turnout during the last 2 weeks has been very impressive. At most, when we were registering points, it takes about 5 minutes maximum when you are at a point of registration, 5 minutes maximum. That is true for Telecom, that's true for MTC as well. Where we are now is because people have waited for a very long time to start running around and have their cards registered. This is typical Namibian thing, that we wait until the last minute to ensure that for us to be able to act to what we've been requested to do. The deadline is still set. We're not making any changes to the structure of registration. The 31st December deadline remains. For the next 2 weeks, we have discussed with the communicators, with the operators. They will be giving us the data through a Crane so that we know at what point, how many people have been registered at a particular point. So then that will inform us as to what course of action, if that is required, for us to be able to engage that. So what we have done today is that we've invited both the operators, MTC and Telecom, but also Crane, so that they can, from their vantage, be able to explain to you where the process stands. After they've given their remarks based on the progress that they have on the ground, we'll then be able to take questions from the media, at which point we'll then provide responses. The media conference will end at that stage. I will just have one invitation on it all. I'll start with MTC to make a statement, then Telecom will follow immediately after that, then Crane will conclude. We'll be able to take questions from the floor at that stage. With that, I wish to invite the representative from MTC to make a statement. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Mate. You know, we've started this process, or rather, Crane started this process in 2021, and MTC, as an initiative, thought to do voluntary SIM registration also in May 2021. The process has been quite slow, and as you've heard from Dr. Mate, it's a typical Namibian culture. We wait till the very last minute. So where we stand currently, as at this morning, we have 925 284 subscribers registered. This represents 40% of our prepaid customer base, which means 53% of our subscribers are not registered. It is unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation. We've had several interventions with pop-ups to do SIM registration, but we are now, last minute for the next 2 weeks, increasing those efforts. We have contracted additional 160 people, we employed them. We'll place them in the regions with additional pop-up areas. Our shops will be open for an additional period, but most importantly, we have also now commissioned a online registration, which will commence next week. The online registration, I think, will create some good efforts, because of the 53% of people not registered, 50% of those people are using smartphones. And then we'd be able to cover that base. And we really urge all of those people who have smartphones to rather do it on this online registration to allow the others who are unable via smartphones to then use the different pop-up areas. Through our assessments that we've done, we've categorized the different regions in terms of which regions have the most unregistered customers. And we are targeting those regions with much more efforts than the ones less so. We thank you for your business, we thank you for your efforts, and we hope come the 31st of December, we would have registered a significant number of our customer base. Thank you.
Good morning, and thanks for the opportunity, Dr. Mate. My name is Stanley Shinapinda. I'm the CEO of Telecom Namibia. So we'll just give you an update on where we stand. We want to echo the sentiments from MTC that it has been a process that started way before the initial dates, and lots of efforts have been made, but progress has been slow. But we are seeing in recent times that there is more movement, and we want to encourage all our customers to continue as such. We know that there are some long queues and so on. We recognize that, and we hope to fast track, and we just plead for your patience in doing so. And we're making additional efforts in making it a more seamless and a more, not pleasurable, but a more easy and convenient process for everyone, as we've done recently. So the process has become a lot more simpler, where people just need their IDs, the application form, the proof of residence to submit their applications. So where we stand as Telecom Namibia, our total customer base of prepaid customers is 417,646. Of that, that's our prepaid customer base. Of that, we have registered to date 201,126 customers. Just this week alone, we've had over 52,107 registrations. That brings us up to a 45% registration rate, so till 215 outstanding, and that's with just 2 weeks to go before the deadline. So we do foresee that there will be challenges in terms of not everyone being able to register. What we are doing in order to make it a little easier is that we're also going to extend our opening hours as from today, and we will make announcements that we will be open up until early evening hours to accommodate more registrations across our 33 teleshops. We will also mobilize mobile registrations in various settlements such as Karatura, especially areas where we don't have teleshops, and outside areas as well. We will be looking at onboarding students, and we'll make announcements in that particular regard very soon. An easy process of getting more students who are in a particular, if you find yourself to be in a specific area in your hometown or where you're on holiday, you're a student, you've got a few more hours, we'll make announcements as to how you can help us out with that registration process for some easy holiday bucks. And also, in terms of our forms that are available online that you can download and submit to us, to our customer care and WhatsApp numbers. We'll also make those available. As we stand right now, we just want to urge everyone to really take this opportunity to make sure that you've registered. As you've heard, we as operators are required to comply with the process. So come 31st of January, it is going to be expected of us to suspend all the numbers. We're hoping for some sort of extension, but we can't speak on that, so that we can crunch the last bit of numbers and make sure that all our customers are registered. But we want to thank everyone that did come out to register. We will reach out to the rural customers mostly through these roadshows and through the onboarding of additional students to do some visits and make the process easier, where we will, if you don't have copies of your IDs, where we can take pictures of those. We will hand out the application forms where you can complete those and so on, so that we make it a lot more convenient for you. But we want to thank all our customers that did come out and register, and we hope that you will still continue to do so. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Jairus Kapenda. I'm the acting executive responsible for communications and consumer relations. CRAN's role in the SIM registration process is really just to support the government and create awareness on the process. We encourage the public to register their SIM cards and not wait until the last minutes to do so. We have received requests where the public wants an extension for SIM registration due date, but however, it is not for the authority to grant an extension, and I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll be able to take a few questions. Please, if you do that, just come to the podium, make your question known, then we'll attempt to answer it. Yes, please, just come through. If you can, all your questions just come straight through here, so there's no delays. Yeah.
My name is Emil Friede. I'm a reporter working for the NBC. Last week, in the press, some banks expressed concern should numbers be disconnected. They raised issues of increase in fraud, security, and so on. TN Mobile CEO expressed or hinted that they were hoping for some sort of postponement for the registrations. Has the authorities taken into consideration the concerns regarding safety and accounts raised by the banks? And with the MTC, you have introduced online registration. We understand that the website or the site of the online registration was leaked, and before it was published. Can you give a comment on this regarding the data of the subscribers, the safety, the security around the site? Thank you.
We'll just take one more person. Just come through. Just come through. No, there's someone behind you. Yeah.
Good morning, members of the panel. I'm Dwight Links from Eagle FM. First question, just to get off. Madam, who are you from MTC? Don't worry, you can answer that later. Second on to that is just in terms for Mr. Jarius from CRAN, then this is specifically just for CRAN. The SIM cards at the 3 month period, basically for the registration or the suspension of it, has CRAN considered any economic implications for those Namibians whose SIM cards or phones for daily business will be discontinued after the service providers decide to cut it? And then ultimately also, why was there a decision on the 3 month period? Is this merely just for punitive decision? And what will happen after the 3 months? I think that might bounce to the operators. And then lastly, in terms of all the panelists here, do you believe the message has actually gotten across, considering the message has been sent out for 2 years? This has been a 2-year process since 2021, basically, to the rest of the public. And lastly, in your particular view, has there also been other challenges in the 100% registration goal, you know, of trying to achieve, respectively for the operators, your overall registration, the time period, the slow uptake by the general public, and so on. Yeah, and then from my last question, also to add on to this, is particularly with regards to the biometric scans. There was discussions at the start of this year. It was indicated that it's optional, specifically from MTC's direction, but there are still biometrics taking place, and the options are supposedly not being offered by the staff to the general public. What is the direction on this? And lastly, what will happen to the data that was already collected back then? Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, Ukhona Khache from the Namibian Sun newspaper. On the issue of biometric data that Dwight spoke about, what is being done to ensure that that information is being protected? And since the mobile operators, DN Mobile and MTC, are not state agents, why are they collecting data, biometric data? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll try to deal with those questions in the manner in which they were asked. Colleagues were taking questions here. Let me just deal with the issue of biometrics that dates back to beginning of the year. We're not going to sit here and blame each other who did what and that. We want to find a way in which we register as many people as possible before the deadline. So you're not going to hear us trying to apportion blame to anyone. We have a situation where there's literally two weeks left for us to do that. The legal provision is that there is no requirement for biometrics. Let's take that out of the way. I think what we are focusing now is to get the message out, so that people, as many people as we can, then gauge this as we go along the way. That's why I said from the beginning that we will be getting on a weekly basis, because the operators get this information on a daily basis, but they consolidate it on a weekly basis. So we have an idea how much work there's still to be done. Then we can take appropriate decision shortly after Christmas. So I think that's a process. I'm just going to defer now to start with Karen. There was a specific question in regards to what informs your decision for 3 months suspension and what are the implications thereafter.
Okay, from the regulator's point of view, CRAN never taken a decision to extend. That's in line with, I mean, it is in the hands of the government. However, then on the 31st of December, what will happen thereafter is the number, or the SIM card number, will be then deactivated. Once that deactivation, once the card is deactivated, meaning then a subscriber or a consumer will have then 3 months to either then register their SIM so that their SIM card can be active. Only after the 3 months period, only after the 3 months period, then the SIM card will be then, I mean the number then will be then inactive.
Okay, I think there was only one question in regards to, that was relevant for us in terms of the challenges. The challenges that we experienced were largely around some of the requirements that were put forward that we've now simplified. For example, making sure that you've got proof of residence, that you get it from a village headman or a sworn declaration from the police, and the long process of getting that and all the logistical inconveniences that are associated with that. And since we've eased that up, we've seen the numbers increasing as it was made more convenient in that particular regard. And that, I think, may have discouraged some of the members of the public to go out and queue at many various places to register, but that's eased up, and that's been our experience.
Patience.
All right, so I'll start with introduction of myself. I'm Patience Kanalelo. I'm standing in for the MD of MTC. There was a question to the online registration portal. We launched the online registration, and it was the intention was for us to test it internally first for the staff members. That link to register, not the data, was shared with the rest of the public, and then the system was unable to take it because it was just meant to test. It wasn't meant for the masses to register. We are currently doing further developments to it, and we will be ready to start online registration next week. So again, I repeat, the information on the portal, on the online registration portal, has not been leaked. It is not out there in the public. It is still within the MTC database, which is secured for only access to the relevant MTC employees. We took some time to develop this online registration portal specifically to ensure the security of the data we are collecting. And part of it is part of the security behind it is to ensure that the person with the registration, the person registering and their ID is in fact the same person. And that really was the reason we took some time to get to this point. So that's on the online registration issues. The challenges we've had is the subscriber base. We have 2.7 million people. Attempting to register 2.7 million customers across Namibia, in some of them unreachable areas, has been quite a challenge. It's mainly the numbers. So we've really tried to be out there to ensure that everybody registers. I think that has been the biggest challenge for us to date. And naturally, the attitude of people to wait till the very end to come and register is putting some pressure on the business. I just want to make a quick comment on the biometrics, not necessarily on the legality or illegality thereof, but why we are doing it. So, and 2.7 million people, 2.7 people, basically what you do with your phone is money. You transact with your phone, and we need to make sure that your identity is correct. Just a month ago, we had a pensioner who was robbed of, well, defrauded of about $1 million Namibian, his pension gone. And that person who defrauded him, unfortunately, we didn't have their biometrics. They came in with an identity, we had an identity card on record, and it looked similar. And that's the nature of, if you only take that data, how do we protect ourselves? How do we protect the people out there if we have nothing to back it up with? So that's shortly what we want to say on it.
Very good. The issue regarding the banks, the concerns and all of that, we saw what the banks were saying in the newspapers. We asked the banks to come to the party too. They have people that use phones. I think they must also come on board and do campaign messaging from their side. They reach everybody else who receives money. There's no reason why they should think that it's only operators who must be responsible for messaging. They are key stakeholders in this, because once your phone is deactivated, you're not going to be able to do internet banking and all of that. So we really encourage them. They must not sit out there and point a finger at someone else. They have a platform that they can get engaged and spread the messages as much as they can. In fact, it's much more powerful if it comes from them. Who wants to lose their money? Everybody wants to get e-wallets and blow wallets and all of that. So if your phone doesn't work, you're not going to be able to receive anything. So I must just mention that, please, we don't want to come talking to others from the media. They know where to find all of us. They know where to find MTC. They know where to find Crane or Telecom. They know where to find us in the ministry. We can really work together as a team to ensure that for the next 2 weeks, we have an aggressive promotion on radio and television, in the newspapers, so people can be aware of why this is important. Sharon Ken.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shaligan Peterson. I'm a journalist with the Namibia newspaper and Desert Radio. Patience, just to go back to what you said, and also on what my colleague asked, what will happen to the data that was and is being collected with MTC? I know you said that it also helps you track back if anyone is scammed, number one. Number two, can you also tell us what are the disadvantages of you collecting the data of the everyday Namibians? As much as you've been promoting the positives, can we hear the negatives as well? So Namibians can know what they're getting into and can consent for themselves. Yes. We have had experts say that MTC sends an OTP during the registration process. I think you can just verify that. And it states the following: By providing the OTP to MTC, you consent to processing and storing your personal data. Can you confirm that, number one? And are you forcing consent without the process not being proceeded? And then coming back to, or also looking at the relationship between CRAN and the operators. It's really good to see you guys come to the same table. How has this process brought you guys together? There's always been tension between you knowing your history. Yes, on the banks, ED. Other than the banks, have you consulted other stakeholders in regards to, I know there was extensive consultation when the legislative was in Parliament, when the ministry had to do the regulations. But I mean, on something like deactivating the SIM card specifically, have you consulted other stakeholders other than the banks? Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you so much. Good morning, ED. My name is Martin Njala. I am with the Windhoek Observer. I just have a question to Mr. Kapenda. The 3-month suspension, can you perhaps just enlighten us, why did you make that decision to suspend SIM cards for 3 months, and why not 1 month? Because 3 months is quite extensive, given that these SIM card holders have to use their numbers for EFTs and so forth. So can you maybe just provide us that clarity? Just explain to us, how did you arrive to 3 month suspension? The other question is to ED. How did the MICT and with all the stakeholders come to this decision to decide in 2021 that you are going to have this new process? I'm asking this question in light of the 2024 elections that is coming next year and the deadline that is approaching us now. Did you consider all these things in perspective? How did you arrive there? Thank you so much.
Okay, yes, then we can. This is the last round, then we'll close. So.
Good morning, everyone. My name is O'Brien Smasiko. I'm a journalist from The Brief. Maybe my first question goes to the operators. Are you not worried that, I know you are putting so much investment in making sure that everybody is registered, but we all know still in the back of our heads that in the case that not everyone is registered or you don't reach that hopeful target, are you not worried that this might bite into your revenue generation, and to what extent probably maybe have you projected this? And then secondly, there is always concern that I've heard mainly from the public that inquired to say there are some that lost their SIM cards or whatever that happens to their cell phone, and then they did renew their numbers prior to the mandatory SIM registration, which was effective mostly last year. And then some, and they were required at that point to also produce the ID copy and maybe probably declarations. So are these people duly registered, or do they still need to come back, or do they need to verify whether they are registered, or for the process to be redone under that circumstances? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry guys, I'm back. Just one question, basically, in terms to the two operators, what's the potential revenue loss if you've got subscribers basically that don't adhere to the deadline and that will fall within the 3-month period and even potentially lose their numbers? Did you consider this particular dynamic? And ultimately, just sort of like to ask the follow-on question from that, you know, what is the current sort of like revenue base from your prepaid clientele or subscribers in that regard?
Very good. Thank you very much. So those are the questions. Now we will give you the answers as you see them. As much as you are entitled to ask questions, we're also entitled to give you the answers that we think are appropriate for your questions. One is that we're not going to discuss the love affair between CRAN and operators. really, we want to focus on the process of registration. And that also goes for revenue, because this becomes your headline tomorrow. Once you give you those numbers, you depart from why we're actually driving people out. So we're not going to entertain that. We really want to drive the message to say there's 2 weeks left. Let's get the people out to register. If you want to discuss labor affairs with us, let's discuss on the 2nd of January. We'll be back in office. We can discuss anything that you want. But for now, really, we want to be very focused. We don't want to be taken off the message, which is to say we want as many people to come out and have the cards registered. To sum up the process from our side, just shortly after Christmas, when you receive the last update from the operators, we'll be able to sit down in the ministry. Then we'll discuss to announce the next states what happens depending on the number of people that will have been registered by that day. So please don't wait. There's still enough time. From what MTC is saying, once the online platform is up and running, there will be a huge number of people that can be accommodated through that. So I'm quite hopeful that we'll be in upwards of 70% come 31st December 2023. I would just like to give Crane just to respond to questions that were directed at you.
Yes, on the 3-month suspension period question, I would like then to give the floor to Mr. Stanley Kavetu just to explain then briefly on what is involved there.
Thank you, Dr. Mate. I just want to clarify the issue of the 3-month suspension. Basically, what will happen is on the 31st of December, it will be the last day to register your SIM cards. And on the 1st, meaning on the 1st of January, your SIM cards will be suspended. So what the regulation provides for is that you have 3 months to retain the number. So what will basically entail is that within those 3 months, a consumer still have the opportunity to keep their number if they register that number. But what will happen after those 3 months is the operators will have, it will be within their right to allocate that number to anyone else if you don't register it within those 3 months. So the 3 months is not an extension. Your number will still be terminated, but within those 3 months, you still have to register your SIM card in order to retain your number. Otherwise, the operators have the right to allocate that number to any other consumer. And you will not blame them for losing your number, which you have kept maybe for the past 15 years. So basically, that's what this 3-month suspension period provides here. With regards to the extension, the regulation provides for an extension by the minister. And I think that's why Mr. Kapenda indicated that it's not Crane's duty to extend. It's for the minister to consider if there is any extension. But as it stands now, the services must be terminated if your SIM card is not registered by the 31st of December. So the last day to register your SIM card is the 31st of December. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
Thanks very much. So yes, it will, if not all customers are registered, it will bite into, or do you expect me to sit there? No. It will bite into revenue projections and revenue losses. We're not able to calculate those at the moment, but obviously if we know we've got only 45% rate of registration, the 55%, we know if we have to cut them off today, we know what that loss would amount to. Our mobile revenue figures stand anything between 250, 280 million Namibian dollars on an annual basis. And any customer that's not registered come 1st of January is going to be too much revenue to be lost, even from one single customer. And that's why we really want to urge all our customers to go out and register, and we're making extra effort from our side to make sure that the process is easier and is a lot more convenient, so that we can assist them as well to register. And so the police declarations is something that's been done away with. so to make it a lot more easy and convenient for the customers. And they will all be considered duly registered. All the customers that are in right now, if you've submitted your form, you can consider yourself duly registered. Yes, that's what I can respond on that.
No, we echo the same. Naturally, it will have a revenue impact, and that's why we're working hard and to make sure that we're SIM registered. Yes, we hope come that date, there's some consideration for an extension, but obviously it's not in our hands. To the Charmaine, I think, who asked me about the OTP that asks for storage of personal data. So Namibia, there is no data protection legislation within Namibia. So we've looked at the EU and GDPR to align ourselves with that, and that's why we are asking you whether you are giving consent for us to store your personal data. So that's in terms of a law that doesn't really exist. And personal data has a big definition. It's also your name, your surname, your ID, your residential address. All of that is considered personal data. So that request for an OTP is our preparation for when the law is implemented, which we assume will be based on these EU and GDPR practices, as is the current draft that's currently with Parliament. On the issue of SIM replacements and whether those ones will be considered duly registered, so previously when you did SIM replacements, you just did a declaration and to say that this is indeed your SIM card. However, the regulations as they stand request a residential address. And in some of those declarations where you have stated your residential address, yes, that will be ticked off and confirmed to be duly registered. But where there's no residential address stated, that would then not be duly registered. But we have started contacting all our customers. All our customers are receiving an SMS. So if you received, all our customers who are not registered are receiving an SMS. So if you've received an SMS telling you to come and register, then you are not duly registered. Please do so. Thank you.
Okay, very good. If I can just give you one final round to say what we have to say, please solicitations.
I think the biggest for us is we want to obviously maintain our operations. We want to make sure that we are able to function for the next 2 weeks as well. So if you have a smartphone, please register online from next week. Also, you may register online on behalf of other people. The only requirement is that that person is there and you are able to do that live detection with him. So if you are a household with one smartphone, please register all other 5 people in your house on their behalf. We want to ease the pressure in our shops so that we just give those to those people who are unable to do online registration. Thank you.
No, we just want to say thank you for everyone that's come out to register. We know it's a painful process, but it will be over soon. So go ahead and go register, and we'll see you out in the teleshops and on the streets, and make sure the process is a lot more comfortable and convenient for you.
Okay. Just to encourage all the consumers to register their SIM cards and not wait until the last minute. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Why registration is important is really to try to combat cyber crime. That's the reason why we're asking people to have their numbers. So far, across the world, there's 157 countries that uses exactly this provision. So this is nothing new to Namibia. It has nothing to do with 2024, whether the elections or not. This process is not going to be open-ended. Registration will have to come to an end at some point. It is 31st December 2023, unless there's an extension granted to that. So there's nothing unusual about that. As you've said, we have given people ample time. Formally, it's 18 months, but the operator, they've told you now they've been doing this for 2 years. So there was no reason why a population of 2.7 million people could not be registered in 2 years. There's absolutely no reason why we can do that. There are various jurisdictions where they have 300 million people, but they have their cards registered. The problem is that we wait. I can tell you, even if we tell you now that we're going to extend by 3 weeks, people will go fishing first because, oh, I've got 3 more weeks. So I'm going fishing, then I'll come back a week before. Did you come and find the queues that long? That is a problem that we are dealing with. Even if you extend it, you're still going to find people who are not going to have their cards registered on time. So at what point do you cut off? I think that's really the biggest question we should be asking. At some point, the process is going to end, and we'll make those announcements just before, on the 29th of December, we'll make a final announcement whether it's going to be an extension or the number that we've got, we are satisfied with them, then that will be the end of it. You have to work through other processes to be able to ensure that. So in sum, that's really the bank. The banks know, and they knew from the beginning, that the cut-off is 31st of December. If they really wanted to engage us on this process, they could have come us in January or in December last year already, because this date was known in advance. It's not something that we decided 2 weeks ago, now the cut-off is going to be 31st of December. No. They must not put us under pressure. As I said, they must just come to the party, work with the operators, work with CRAN. Let's use public sales announcement so people are aware of the implications of having to have your number suspended. With that, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we want to thank you. We promise that on a weekly basis, we will give you the figures where we stand, so you also know. But I know that there's someone here who said, I'm not going to mention the paper, that they've interviewed me. I never declined to have interviews. Call me, I will give an interview. But don't say that you've interviewed me when you have not. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen on the media.